Thanks so much to all my patrons. Join now to help support the channel and help pick the books I review on this channel. Link in the description. Hey everybody, so it is the last day of the month, and that means it is time for my April recap video. I'm going to be giving you a bit of a life update like normal, channel updates, go over my reading stats, and a recap of the books that I read. Normally, I go over all the books that I was sent, but I've gotten way too many. I think I'm currently sitting at 15, and there's like 5 at the P.O. box right now. So I'm going to do like a special video for those, and I'm going to try to think of something fun. Maybe we'll like come up with some sort of like fantasy bingo based on the book covers or the blurbs. That would be kind of fun, but we're going to do something special for that because it's way too much. It would take up way too much time in this video, and we'll talk about in a minute why I don't really have time for that at the moment. So real quick, let's talk about the Discord. So the Discord is up to almost 3,000 people. It is at up 250 from last month, which is a crazy explosion rate. We had a very successful 𝐒𝐮𝐲 buddy read, and it brought a lot of people in. So life-wise, my life right now, I just feel dominated, and I keep talking about this, but we have a month left until summer starts for the kids, which feels really early, but softball and t-ball is just my life right now. I coach my son's t-ball team. I was kind of loosely coaching my daughter's softball team. Wasn't an official coach, but I come out to help. But I'm basically a coach now, and it was kind of crazy. Like the girls on the softball team, they're 7, and this coach who I like a lot, and hopefully he's not watching this video, because I do like him a lot. Let's get that out there. He's a really nice guy, and I like youth sports coaches. And if they're nice to the kids and they're putting out effort, that's great. But he's trying to teach the kids like this mechanic of how to hit a ball. And it's the first season that girls are pitching, and so it's really hard to hit. But he's trying so hard to teach them the perfect mechanics, and he's teaching them off a tee. But you don't really learn how to hit a live ball by hitting off a tee, but he wants their mechanics to be perfect. And so, like a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, the assistant coach wasn't there, so I came out and I was like, "Hey, coach, can I do live pitching to the girls?" And so I taught them all practice, and they hadn't won a game up to that point, and now we've blown out the last 2 teams we played. A team beat us 20-0, like by far the best team in the league, and then we just beat them 5-0, but because now our girls know how to hit. So now I'm like coached at every practice now, and yeah, I don't know how that happened. I am about to go on a trip, so when this video comes out, I'm recording this video pretty early, actually. I'm recording this video on Friday night because I don't really have a lot of time, because I'm going out of town on Sunday, and I'm going to Utah. I'm going to, what is it, Snow Canyon or something? Snow something. Hopefully there's not snow there. I don't think there is. It doesn't look like a snowy place. But it looks like something straight out of like a Western movie. But my family, on the large side of my family, my dad's side, which was a Catholic side, and they had a lot of kids. So my dad has 8 brothers and sisters, and they all have 1 million kids. And so all the adults are going on this camping trip in Utah. And so I'm flying from Sacramento to Vegas, and then I'm driving for 2 hours with my brother who's flying out from Michigan, and then we're going to go in together. And I'll be there from Sunday to Wednesday. So when you get this video, I will be there. And so I have to do this video way earlier than normal. But yeah, looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. And I'm not going with my wife and kids. My kids aren't really allowed to go. It's an adults trip. And my wife's going to watch them. And she doesn't really like plane rides either. So I'm the one doing it. So the Discord server just continues to grow. I really would love you to get involved. It's where all the fun is outside of these videos. And yeah, it's grown quite a lot. Please join. We're almost at 3,000. We just finished a buddy read of 𝐒𝐿𝐼𝐴 Book of the Fallen, the first book, Gardens of the Moon. Sorry, I'll edit that out later. And yeah, it was great. It was really, really, really fun experience, because so many people, I think, were intimidated by the series and then used this opportunity to read along. And we had dozens of people that read the book when they weren't planning on it, and now they're in. And we have dozens of people that say now they're going to read the whole series. So that's just awesome. It was really fun to see that. my favorite series be hooking with people and being able to be that bridge to bring them into it. So we've already selected the next book, but I'm not going to tell you until tomorrow in the TBR video. But if you want to know, go to the Discord because everyone's already talking about it, and we have a room dedicated for it. We're talking about it already. So this is the part of the video where I normally talk about the video games that I played for the month. But for another month in a row, I'm only playing one game, and I can't stop playing SnowRunner. It's like the most addictive game, especially if you're into audiobooks, because you can just turn your brain off, go haul some trucks around, go haul some logs from one point of the map to the other and try not to get stuck. It's just perfect because you can just pay attention to your books and actually have fun. So I don't know when I'm going to stop playing this thing. It's got like 1 million DLCs and they're super cheap. So, and each one's like $5 for like 20 hours of play. So yeah, maybe more, maybe like 50 hours of play. It's nuts. So that's the only game I'm playing. I wish I had more for you, but that's all I'm doing. I am playing some Pokemon Go, actually. My son's gotten really into Pokemon. He's 5. And he loves everything Pokemon. I got him into the old show, which is great. I love the old show, so it's a lot of fun watching that with him. But then I got Pokemon Go with him, so we could walk to school and like play it, and he's gotten really into it. But now I got back into it. When it came out originally, I played it a lot with everybody I knew. And so I had a pretty big account that apparently didn't get wiped, so I brought that back up, and my son's just been obsessed with walking around playing with me. It's been a lot of fun. So let's go to the stats for the month. I read 9 books this month. It was supposed to be 10, but I couldn't finish the last one, which was about 4,700 pages. I'm up to 39 books this year, which is a lot. Pages this year, I'm up to 19,000, so I'm on track for a little under 60,000. The average score that I've given to books this year is 3.78, which is about my average. The views for the month were up a lot. I got 147,000 views, which is up 29,000 from the previous month. The hours watched was 12,500, which is up 2,500. And the subs was 881, which is down 100. The number one video, once again, I don't know when this will ever change because this video just is in the algorithm seemingly forever now, but it got about 20,000 views, and it was how to get your ebooks for free. This video gets right now about 600 views a day or so, like as of like right now. And I don't know when it's going to stop. It's like over 100,000 views. It's weird watching a video just slowly take off that I made a long time ago, but whatever. The number 2 video I made was the top 10 for my first quarter, and that was, I got about 8,000 views. And my number 3 video was the April Fool's joke where I told you all I was taking a break from YouTube, and that also got about 8,000 views. So let's jump right into the books that I read this month. The first book was Tales of the Sun Eater, Volume 2. This is in the Sun Eater series by 𝗂𝐿. I predicted a 4, and I sadly gave it a 3. So I love the Sun Eater. It's one of my favorite series. Love the books, love the novellas. Not a big fan of the short stories. I don't think it's inherently anything wrong with the short stories. I just don't really like short stories. They're not my jam. And it's just, I like epic, I like big, and the shorter, the worse, in my opinion. And so, by the time I'm feeling the story, it ends, and we move on to something else. It's just too hectic for me. I only really read it because people told me I had to read this one before I kept going in the series. But looking back on it, I don't think that's true. And I'm really going to question people if they say I have to read the third one before going on in the series, because that would be odd, because it didn't feel like any of these stories were essential reading. They just felt like a little bit of extra flavor. And I'd love it to be that way. But speaking of Sun Eater, the book I read after that one was Kingdoms of Death. This was I think the 4th book in the Sun Eater series in the main novels. And I predicted a 5. I gave it a 5. And it was the best book that I read this month. And one of the best books that I've read this year. One of the best books I've ever read. It's incredible. I can't get over how good this thing was. This series has gotten a wild ride where, it started out this fun kind of coming of age story that turned into this deeper thing with some deeper themes that then began to turn into this epic fantasy story. And then I got this grimdark book, which I did not see coming, and that was dope. I mean, I love grimdark. I love this series, and to have that mesh together, I can't really say what it's about, but it was a rough read. And I say that in the most positive way I can possibly say that. I love rough reads. If they're rough and they make you feel a lot of bad feelings for the characters, not like you as the reader. It's not like a First Binding 𝗟𝗫𝗀𝗀 situation where I hate everything about it. I loved everything about this one. It was just tough material to get through, but absolutely wonderful and my favorite Sun Eater book thus far. But I'm hearing amazing things about the one that just came out, Disquiet Gods. Like, everybody's saying that's the best one. So God, guys, read this series. It's so good. Speaking of good books, it's not this one. I read Trador Blade by 𝐶 de Castel. This is part of the Great Code series, the first book. Predicted a 4, gave it a 2. Did not like it. I did this one on audiobook, and when I started reading this book, I was like working in the yard, and I didn't have very high expectations. And then all of a sudden it started clicking. I was like, this is like a Three Musketeers story. It's fun. I'm loving the dynamic between these three characters. This is a really good book. And then it changes tone. The Three Musketeers basically split up. It has weird pacing and plotting issues. And the more I went along, the more I didn't like it. And by the end of it, I just really, really wanted it to be over. I don't know, man. I don't think it was because I did audiobook. In general, I like audiobooks a little less than physical books, and I don't really know why yet. Maybe I just like books more. I think more likely, the books I'm most excited about reading, I intentionally read them on regular books, and so I think like that's deflating my scores for audiobooks. But I think I would have given the same score if I read this book, in physical format. Just not an enjoyable read by any stretch of the imagination, and very frustrating in a lot of different ways. Watch my review for more details, but yeah, not a fan. Then I read The Dragon's Path. This is part of the Dagger in the Coin series by Daniel Abraham. I predicted a 4, gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And I'd say this is the best surprise of the month. And I'd say surprise, even though I predicted a 4, it was like a generous 4, I'd say, because I've read several Daniel Abraham books up to this point. I just got done reading one that I gave 2 stars to. Don't even remember the name of it. It was that unenjoyable. Age of Ash. But I've also read The Expanse, which he is half the author for. There's another author that wrote The Expanse with him, and I thought The Expanse was good. Not great. But this is better than all the books I've read from Daniel Abraham before, and it was really, really fun, joyous experience. A great story with some very compelling characters, very, very well done on the character front. The plot was in large part the background to these characters. I have no idea where the plot's going because it doesn't feel like there's an overarching thing going on. It just feels like these characters going about some things, but they're interesting things. And I love all 3 of the main characters. One of them takes a wild ride in terms of their story that I won't say more than that, but it's a jaw-dropping experience going through this story with this character. And yeah, just awesome stuff, and I can't wait to keep reading. The next one I read was The Trouble with Peace. This is the second book in the Age of Madness series by Joe Abercrombie, which is in the wider First Law universe. Predicted a 5, because duh, I love all his books, and I gave it a 5, because duh, I love all his books. And it was the second best book that I read this month. But in almost every other month, this would have been the first best, but just happened to be going up against Kingdoms of Death, which is an impossible task. This might be my favorite First Law book. And First Law is like my second or third favorite series. So it says a lot about what I felt about this book. I got so much more out of it the second time listening to this book than the first time. I say listened because these are essential audiobooks. The audiobook narration is the best. If you're ever looking for good audiobooks, absolutely pick up the First Law. It's just downright incredible. But this book in particular just does so much wonderful stuff with the intermingling of the politics, following characters that are deeply, deeply compelling. The story here was riveting. And I can't say that a lot in the First Law. The First Law is a lot about vibes for me. It's a lot about the characters. It's a lot about the dialogue. And I could read a story with 0 plot. Literally 0 plot. Just characters doing the Seinfeld thing. Just living their life. And I'd love it. Because I love the way he writes. But then when you combine that with an absolute banger of a plot, you get something like this. And it's truly, truly something special. After that, I read 𝐿born. This is the first book in the 𝐿born saga by Daniel T. Jackson, an author I had never heard about before. Predicted a 4, gave it a 4.5. 𝐿born was really, really good. I had a couple small little nitpicks with the way the POVs were structured, but the plot is great. I mean, it was really good. I mean, the writing is not stellar, but that's okay, because the plot was great. And I was just so engaged by everything going on. I love a good religious themes in my books. I'm not a religious guy myself. If you are, awesome. Do whatever makes you happy in life in general, unless you're like harming other people. But yeah, I love religious themes in my books. I feel like it can bring such an interesting dynamic to things. And this one was done exceedingly well. I love non-obvious magic in these in stories with a slow unfurling of them, which is what we got here. And I love a riveting plot, which is what we got here. And a very dark book, which I love. Everything about this book is just really enjoyable. And for an author who I'd never heard about before, which is just awesome. And I'm really excited, but also upset to read the series and keep going on. I say upset because there are so many series that I'm now invested in. And it feels like every month I'm adding more series that I have to keep going. My series list that I'm actively reading is growing, not shrinking. And that's a problem that I'll need to address at some point, but not today. Next up was Priest of Bones. This is part of the War for the Rose Throne series by Peter McLean. Predicted a 4, gave it a 2. Wasn't good. I had a lot of problems with this book. It was this mafia story that felt like a Peaky Blinders kind of ripoff, and about growing an empire that was lost. This character had to go off and get conscripted into war. He was like a mafia boss, and as he come back, he's like, all right, I'm going to get my businesses back. And that's the story. I just explained the entire plot to you. And it's just kind of boring. I get why people loved it. This is one of the few reviews for a purely fantasy book where I've kind of ripped into it a little bit, and pretty unanimously everybody said, what are you talking about? This book's awesome. So yeah, don't let me sway you away from this thing. If you love a darker mafia type story, check this out. I like that kind of stuff. Just didn't like this one, but maybe it'll work for you. Next up is a book called Gardens of the Moon. This is by Steven Erikson. I predicted a 5. I gave it a 5. This is cheating because it's like my favorite series of all time by a lot. But I did give the first book, this Gardens of the Moon, first time I read it, a 4 out of 5. I liked the book a lot, but I was lost. I had no idea what was going on for large portions of it. And this time I was not lost. This time I got everything. Or not everything. I don't know if anybody understands everything. I don't even know if Steven Erikson understands everything in a Molassin book. But I got a lot out of this that I totally whiffed on the first time. And it's so fun getting this story dropped on you that is meant to be confusing. But now that you finish the story, you get it. And you just feel like it's all clicks. And that's what happened here. So Molassin, just a top series. But even more, top reread series. And man, if this first book was that much improved, and I thought the first book was just good the first time, the next book and the next 9 books, which I thought were wonderful, imagine what those are going to be on my reread. So get ready for a lot of Molassin praise over the next year or two. And then finally, I read The Ember Blade. This is in the Dark Water Legacy by Chris Wooding. I predicted a 5, gave it a 2. This is the worst surprise of the month and the worst book that I read this month. This just felt like, and somebody in my Discord mentioned this recently, today or yesterday when we were talking about this book, and they said, like, it made me feel like I was reading Lord of the Rings again, or Wheel of Time again, but it just isn't as good in any way, and it makes me just want to go read those books again. And I think that's a good way to put this. It copied this old school style of book, but didn't bring anything new, and was worse in every conceivable way. I could not connect with the characters. The plot felt meandering, and like it didn't know what it wanted to do. There was a lot of inconsistencies, I feel like, in the plot and the progression of the characters. There was very little I liked about this. There was a section I thought was enjoyable. I liked it enough to finish it, so I'll give it a 2. But I did not have a fun time, and I feel bad. I really do feel bad, because I had a lot of people that commented on my video that said, like, oh, I was thinking about reading this, now I'm not. I hate hearing that, guys. I feel bad about that kind of thing. But I will, more than anything, I want to be honest with you. And if that's your reaction, so be it. But it definitely shook me a little bit. And I hate that feeling that I might have hurt the author a little bit. But hopefully I didn't. Hopefully the author will get some people watching that review that go like, you know, Matt didn't like it, but that sounds really good actually to me. I'm going to check that out. So let's hope for that. So yeah, this is normally the part where I'd go over the books that were sent to me, but I have too many and I don't have enough time because I got to pack for this dang trip, and I got to edit this video, and I got to make the TBR video before I go. So I got a lot to do. So I'm going to log off now. Thank you so much for watching this, and as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all of my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Anna G, CJ, Doust, Darren, Gil, Gregory, JD, Jonathan, Nathan T, Nev's Book Channel, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Sydney Baker, Tay C, Tahir, Tommy, Zion, Anna, Andra, Blair, Brock, Evan, Joe UK, Kat Mick, Michael Sugarman, Philippe, Sky, and Wacky. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.